don't need the bridge open. Okay, let's try that again. Open painter, close bridge. And we will need... Please don't mess this up. There we go. Okay. We will need references, and these are the references. These are more costume references than anything, not exactly pose or angle references, but cool. Drag down these links. It'll be a little bit easier for me to find for next time. Because this project is officially go. How far we get today will be up to chance. There will not be any guarantees of a long or a short stream. No one can say for sure. But we have our 6 characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes. Hey, Danny. All right, no worries. Madoti. Madoti? Hi, how are you? Thanks for joining the stream. Right now I'm trying to calibrate my brushes a little bit. I'm working on a... it's kind of like a Dungeons and Dragons commission. Okay, I'm glad you're good. Here, this is the rough sketch. You can kind of see a little bit. I've styled it like a I'm good. How are you? Or you already said you're good. I'm good. I'm waiting for feedback on the project I'm officially booked on, and they don't have feedback yet. And I've been waiting for about an hour and a half. Conservatively, and about 3 hours unconservatively. So they are late in getting me feedback, and at this point, even though they're paying me to wait on their project, I think I'm justified in doing a little bit of this. So, are you a professional artist? Yes, I am. The stream is about... Well, it's preliminary. Oh, look at this. Yeah, the Zelda art thing is still up. The Zelda studies is mostly what I've been doing. But today I'm working on a different project. D&D studies. Let's call it that. I can show you other Zelda art that I've done. Do you know what Zelda is? Are you a Zelda fan? If you feel like seeing. Are you willing to give advice to an intermediate artist? I'm only willing to give advice to an intermediate artist. All right, okay. So you know what Zelda is. Then now you have to look at some cool Zelda art that I did. I drew this. This is kind of cool. Also, when you love the Lord of the Rings music, I can't take credit. I'm just playing someone else's playlist. So this is Link fighting some Tektites on Death Mountain. Are you a young art? You must be a young artist if you're intermediate. You're not my age. Here's a cool piece. You're 17. Okay. You're about the cutoff of the I don't really care if people are too young to hear me curse, but I wouldn't want You like some of this art? Thank you. You'll be 18 in 3 days. That's what I used to say when I was a teenager. But yeah, this is not a particularly edgy stream. It's just I'm more or less unfiltered. So you know, I hope I don't offend your ears. And some of the stuff I draw is a little violent, but this is about as bad as it gets. Link cutting people's heads off and shit. And the word shit. Here's another cool one. When I was like 6 or 7 years old, the original Zelda game. You're Italian, okay. Junji Ito. Okay, all right, yeah. No, well, that's how I'm these days. Is like, I'm sure anybody half my age has been exposed to more of the horrible things that are on the internet than I could possibly have ever experiencst. So anyway, so you can see some of this stuff is scary, but like I don't really do like adult content, so it's just a little bit of a heads up. I'm glad you like them. I have a bunch, but they're all in various states of finishing or whatever. Here you can see... Oh, this one I did. This one can't look that good because it's a vertical. Hold on, let me check something. Sorry. This sounded like big bumps and thumps are happening outside. Made me a little paranoid. So this is just I have to zoom in on these so you can see them. So that's Midna. You know her from Twilight Princess, and this is, you know, a lot of the stuff I draw isn't exactly canon, I'd say. They're sort of like, just whatever design I felt would help the situation, and then it's sort of my take. Then here's another one. This one's pretty good. This was the latest one that I did. And this is the Zelda based on the cartoon. What's your job in art? I'm a storyboard artist for commercials, advertising, short-form content, and video game trailers. And I'm based in Los Angeles, so so right now there's a giant corporation with a giant commercial campaign that has a lot of money, and they're sort of paying me to wait around to get something done, but they don't quite know exactly what to throw me at or throw at me at the moment. And I'm bored, so I'm gonna stream. So that is to say, I might have to bail any second now. They might be like, okay, now we know what you want, or now we know what we want you to do. And I've asked them, and I said, hey, what do you want me to do today? And they're like, okay, hang out. We're gonna let you know ASAP. And it's been hours. Oh, you just followed me on Twitch. That's cool. Okay, well, what's your question about being an intermediate artist? Hold on. I'm going to invite you to... I know it's cringe, but I have a Discord. It's fairly active, if I toot my own horn. And if you're not a Discord person, don't worry about it. I don't have a specific question right now. Where would you... If you're 17, you're very, like, early in your art career. Do you have a, like an Instagram or something that we can look at to, get a gauge of where you're at? There are a lot of artists that watch this stream. Check the gallery. Okay, here's my Discord. Okay, here's my Discord. All right. Do you have any general advice? I always come back to composition and the fundamentals. Okay, I see you're. I can see you're a digital artist. Let's see here, DeviantArt. Here, I'll watch you. This is cool. How long have you been? Okay, so right off the bat, I really appreciate... Can I pull some of your stuff on the stream? From your DeviantArt? 3 years? Okay. Right off the bat, I really like these. And this. What's the basis for these? And this. This reminds me a little bit of Van Gogh. We were talking about... This is good stuff too. So obviously this actually isn't... it's not obvious that this is digital art. This actually could be... This is watercolor. When I look at this and I see the digital version, it's not as impressive. But I see this, and it's impressive. And I like the, it has a strong sense of composition. And I love that it's not overworked and labored over. You'll make me one? Are these... kind of from your imagination? Obviously the backgrounds are a little abstract, so it feels like they are. It's very cool. They're expressive. Is this somebody you know? I'm just curious. You have the where it gets into this, it feels like it is somewhere from imaginations, others aren't. That specific guy you made up. I like him. He looks like Prince Humperdinck. He looks like this guy. I mean, you'll laugh when I show you Prince Humperdinck. I just need to get the right picture. Yeah, there we go. Here you go. Here's your boy. Or maybe I'm wrong. On that note, you look like the Mandalorian actor. Wow. I'll take compliment. Is it a compliment? Hopefully. You know what I get a lot these days is hold on, we have to make sure we're getting the whole picture here. We need more lighting on me. This is the oh no. You shine more light on me and it gets uglier. I get Jason Bateman a lot. He's one of those although I don't think he's that good looking, but anyway, assuming it's a compliment, I'll take it. All right, let's put aside Prince Humperdinck and the good stuff. So this is good stuff. It kind of looks like you're pretty early on and raw. So I'm curious if you've taken any like art classes. It kind of looks like you're experimenting a lot, and you're like mostly self-taught. You know, and that's a great place to be in. Is that the case? I mean, you're obviously you didn't mess hey Danny. You read a lot of books, but you've never taken any actual classes. Books are great for learning. My drawing window is small. That's because we need to see more of me. Me. Okay, we're done with that. Thank you for reminding me. Okay. YouTube is very useful for tutorials. Okay, so just kind of a heads up is I do I talk a lot about fundamentals and composition and whatnot. All the art that I showed you, I drew live on stream from beginning to end. So like for what it's worth, well, where can I find a sketch? That's not the one. But like I'll go from like a really rough sketch, like the idea of a sketch, into something that becomes step by step, concrete, solid, and then finished. You need the face. This is the hook. All right, that's the thing. I have a YouTube channel with the same name. It's just Max Forward, and I mostly am just doing like live streaming the Zelda content, just because it's about sort of transparency, and I'd like to think this is an educational stream. I don't know if it's like the most efficient way to learn, because it is very sort of like you're just watching me move at a snail's pace, but like eventually like this boat is going to cross the ocean and get to the other side. So you can try and take shortcuts, and then you can end up who knows where, or you can hang out and if you pay attention you'll also get to where you want to go. Put aside this stuff. All right, so this is all good stuff. I'm curious, how would you Merotea? I mean, you're Italian. What would... It's a little bit of a mouthful. I don't know if that is an actual like Italian name or or more like a handle. You made it up. All right. Then I'm gonna make up something. I'll call you Mado. Anyway, don't take offense. It's just easier than how did it go with my guest? It went really well. My buddy is a really good buddy. I wanted him to come on stream, but his wife was unfortunately ill the entire duration of the trip, and so she was just in this guest bedroom, coughing her brains out, just being sick, and so we were never able to be in here together to do the stream together. So it just didn't work out. But as I think I announced, he brought the case of wine. So I'm like, all right, well, you brought the wine. Now I owe you art. So, all right, Mado. All right, so, all right, let's give it up for Mado. We love to see it. Oh, you didn't miss out on the collab. It should have happened, but it didn't because his wife was sick and had to take over my office to be sick in. There was no collab that actually happened. It was a theoretical idea of a collab, my friend being over. You joined my server? Okay, cool. All right, well, look around, and then in 3 days when you're 18, you can click on the figure drawing link, and you can see where I post my figure drawings. It's fine, it'll happen eventually. Although in Italy, I'm sure they have different standards of when people are allowed to see nudity, but I don't know. I like to live dangerously, but it's just forewarned, you know. Being an artist means that eventually you need to get used to drawing the human form as natural. Let's put it that way. Okay. We'll put away this stuff. So my buddy commissioned me to do a D&D portrait of his group. This is their group. I did a rough sketch of it, and now that they've paid me all this wine, I need to actually work on it. And we have some downtime today, theoretically. So that's what I'm going to work on. You drew nude figure drawings already? Very good. Well, you can... in 3 days, you can look at that little link. But anyway, oh, this is not the... here we go. Weird, by layering all the bad drawings on top of each other, it actually sort of becomes a good drawing. That's interesting. Mado, I'm really trying not to be a, like, here's how to fix your art loser, but, you know, if you do have, like, concrete questions, I'll do my best to answer them. But how I'll answer them is essentially it all just circles back around to, I was actually thinking of this analogy this morning, where I was like, it's like, what's the best way to, like, let's say instead of being artists in an art environment, we were guys at a gym, or girls, but we were at a gym, and or gymnasium, and we were, you know, there were newcomers to the gym, and it's like, how do you best set them up to, you know, stay at the gym? And it's really just about being welcoming and encouraging and positive, and because it's like, no one can do the lifting for you at a gym. Ultimately, you have to do all the lifting. You know, there's no one to be like, what's this hidden hack for learning how to lift huge amounts of weight? Not that I'm, like, strong enough to give anybody, okay, some people are in. There's no way that, like, anybody should take my gym advice, but in my youth I used to work out, and ultimately, because my dad is very into fitness, and I asked him, I was like, you know, what's the best times or day, what's the best way to work out? And he's like, just go to the gym. Just go to the gym and do a really bad gym session is way better than doing nothing by like to the extent of 1 trillion degrees. It's like, don't worry about making it like the perfect way. Just do it. Do some, make mistakes, you know? And in art, like, you're not going to injure yourself. Or you're unlikely to, unless you're like drawing for 24 hours straight or something. There's very little risk about following good or bad advice, so just do. Anyway, hang out, feel encouraged. Yeah, carpal cut. Yeah, I mean, egos can get bruised, but for the most part, like, I won't really be like, you did this wrong. You know you're doing it wrong. You know, I'm not that guy. So, that said, I feel like I have a lot of like experience, and I can tell a bit about like where a person's at based on the drawings that they do. And I'm like, oh, I can see you're avoiding this, or I can see you're having trouble with this. You know, I might say stuff like that, but it's nothing in a way where I'd be like, yeah, you need to, there's no course to sign up for. This is not a, you know, the advice is free. It's also not worth anything. Okay, I think this is about right. So let me... Art makes you sweat. Yeah, let me show you guys something that is tricky for me, like how... what I've been dealing with on this project is... these are sort of unconventional... There's not unconventional poses, but like you can see this rough sketch. It looks pretty good. Like I know... I feel like I look at this and I know what I want it to look like. But then when I keep trying to make it look better, every time I draw it, I'm dissatisfied and I don't like the way it looks and I need to try again. And it's just been tricky for me to It's been tricky for me to get the right look on this drawing. The face looks a lot better. I mean, I don't know if it... You're talking about this one? Kind of what I was thinking about my strategy for right now was going to be is that instead of making a deep dive, I would try to make a broad dive and just sort of not get precious. Let's just see how much ground I can cover in not thinking that things needed to be precious. And also sort of like embracing some of the painterly kind of qualities, like the there we go. Like this sketch. Oop. Right, I did this the other day. And I just moved way too fast on it. But yeah, like, it can be sketchy and still turn out, like, amazing, right? So I don't need to... I don't know, I don't want to be... Being precious about it. I don't know, it's like, taking it too seriously is probably the wrong move, you know? Oftentimes, when a face is at a weird angle, let's say I'm like drawing my face at like a weird angle, as I try to refine it into like more layers of realism. Yeah, there's daylight. There's just a tendency to sort of drift the face towards like a more straight. So if it's like this, I'll like drift it more like this. So the angles sort of erode. My mind will work along the path of least resistance. And in the end, I end up making the art not how I intended to. So it's just tricky. That said, and I'm using like the wrong brush, probably. I know I'm using a different pen than I did last time. Maybe this is best, yeah. Anyway. I think right now, if I just sort of work light and fast, and I know I draw too far zoomed out. It's something we'll try to work with over time. Figuring out a way to make things a little bit more visible. But right now I'm trying to be specific about what are the angles. The shoulders can feel like they're oriented like this in space. Just definitely make sure we have a collar that feels like it comes down and around. All these references here. How long am I streaming? It's impossible to know, because this is what I call a bonus stream, where I'm just sort of waiting for my client who is distracted themselves to decide what they want me to start. So they had me on a project on Friday, and then they send it to review, and then they said, wow, these drawings look great, but yeah, we definitely don't want to greenlight this one. So despite my best efforts trying to really make the project successful, they killed it. It's a bonus stream. So the reality is, it's sad, but I am getting, by some definitions, paid to stream, The time right now is sponsored in a way, not officially. But it's either this or I do nothing, right? So how about we do this instead? How about instead of doing nothing, we do this? This character is it feels like it's all the rage to have dragonborn characters. Am I wrong about that? Does anybody play D&D? Because I don't. I don't know about this stuff. I didn't know you could have half human, half dragon characters. That feels like cheating to me, right? And it's like, okay, that's a little much. That's like you're playing superhero with your friends, and it's like, he's like, I want to be Hulk. And it's like, yeah, of course you want to be Hulk. He's the biggest freaking guy. You're not allowed to be the Hulk every time, you know? It's not fair. Used to be a dungeon master. Okay. Well, this is my... So I don't know anything about D&D other than, like, I kind of like the aesthetic and, like, the art, you know? But my buddy who doesn't live near me, but we grew up near each other, and we've been friends for, like, 30-something years, right? When you get to be my age, and I'm 42, it's like if you have friends from when you were before a teenager into your 40s, like, that's pretty rare. So if they ask you to do something, it's like, definitely. Especially something like this, because I'm interested in doing more commission type work. This hand is a little... Yeah, 30 years, friends. We met when we were 11. Let's have it come a little bit more towards camera in Z space. This guy's like a wizardy. He's not really a wizard, but he has like magic abilities. All right, we definitely got to save our work. But if I have a friend that'll have longer than that, your brother, yeah. I mean, I have a brother too. That doesn't count. It totally counts, but it's like friend by default. Potentially, at least. The other thing I have to remind myself is like these clients, my buddy who's sort of commissioned me on this, his expectations are not high. They're not. He is not. Even though they're sort of paying me in wine. To do this is like, for them, there was essentially nothing, and not, you know, they're happy to get what they can get. So this isn't this isn't something that I should, feel like I have to chase down to perfection. It's more about like, yeah, get it done. Once it's done, it's going to be good and it's going to be well received. If anybody knows any other kind of like cool remixed Lord of the Rings tracks, like I really like this playlist. I can't find many others like it. But I'm interested in finding alternates because it's like I do play this playlist a little too often. Here's the wings. STX SS I don't know how people need to STX stasis. I'm gonna call you Stasis. Yeah. I love your art. I'm curious about your process. Did you draw shadows, negative areas first, and are you sketching over them? I have a linear process for my sketching. I don't really use silhouettes. If I can infer from your I don't use like a silhouette cutting sort of process. I'm a artist more derivative from the mannerist style. Like a mannerism. Let's see if any of it... This is not right. Mannerism art. There we go. These are all bad examples. El Greco, great example. And of course, Michelangelo. But it's sort of like involving primarily the feeling of the sort of the contortions of the human form. And so you can see in like these sketches, there's a lot of like this guy's hunching and this guy's rearing up, and this character is tensing up with energy, and this one is rearing back with energy. And so there's a lot of like juxtaposition of am I sure Michelangelo was a manierist? Am I wrong? Why isn't Michelangelo a mannerist? Mato is a Italian, so I'm going to I'm not going to say I have standing to declare. I did not go to this is Michelangelo. This is Michelangelo. You know, but I'll listen to your argument if you have an argument against it. This is Michelangelo. Or would you say it's like classical? I guess mannerism... You know, there's gray area. I'm not going to say Michelangelo and El Greco were on the same level or anything. I'm not sure about this, but I think mannerists existed later than Michelangelo. I mean, Michelangelo is like a genre of his own. I don't particularly I don't think it's wise to speak broadly in terms of people like Michelangelo. Stasis, up in the chat, if you scroll up, there's a link to the Discord, which you can click on and invite yourself to. It is a place where off stream I actually talk about art too. And if you're an artist, like, you can share your work, and you know, I like seeing that stuff. Or you can share it now and I'll take a look at it. It's an educational art stream. So here's something that is like sort of important is like here we have this dragon wing, and it's so important to, at least for me, like the way I think of this stuff, to make sure that we use like the contour, like see how I'm using like these like curves to indicate the perspective of the dragon wing is going away from camera to start, and then it comes back towards camera, even while they're both going up and making like a kind of curve. There's a clear going This one's clearly going this way, and this one's clearly going this way. See, and thanks for the advice. All right, bye-bye, Madam. Sort of, I like to think this is like the world's most slow and boring art classroom. And then you can see right now I had made a mistake, because this has both here we've got these claws going in like opposite directions, but primarily they're both going back, and I want to make sure that's the predominant thing. So I can make them go in opposite directions, but primarily they're both going back in space. Something like that, right? And it's like, it's not the end of the world to like make a mistake and make it like, whoops, it went the other way instead of that way. Like no one would really notice. But thinking about like the actual specific orientation of something in space, yeah, I mean, it's not really boring because I do stuff like curse when the program crashes and stuff. But like the consistency is like the continuity of the thing. It really helps it to bring some realism. And the more real you treat it, the more real it's like the solutions. If you don't know whether something is going away from camera or coming towards camera, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to straddle. You're going to make it sort of like in between. Did I drink my next wine? No comment. But yes, I did. I opened it last night, and then there was a little bit of a disruption, so I didn't get to stream last night. And then I finished it this morning, and then I was like, now I'm going to stream. So that's what happened. So this is kind of how this wing looks, but I need it. This should be a little bit more substantial, and I will probably move this down a little bit so it feels a little bit more natural in the composition. Okay, Danny, to answer your question earlier about like how long will this stream go, my daughter is going to get picked up by my wife at about 2:30, which means at about 2:45 my kid's gonna come home, and then that means I have to stop because then I have to help her with her homework while I'm theoretically working, and when that is gonna actually happen is whenever, but I'll stream till then. Which time zone? Oh, I'm in Los Angeles, so Stasis, if you feel like sharing art, like you can, it's no big deal. You can at any time drop about an hour more. Yeah. About less than 1 hour more. Yeah. No. There's no pressure. It'll be very encouraging. I'm old, so I'm not very hip. I don't have a lot of like distracting bits and bops and boops about goal subs and stuff like this. I'm a professional artist during the day and even at night too, and I don't this is more about connecting to what I want to do eventually, which is teach, but as a entrenched industry artist, I've been siloed. I don't have a lot of this project is the is the sort of the start of me making an attempt to connect with people other than clients outside of like paying work. This is like me. And we got a spammer. Bye bye, you go away now. Anyway. One thing that's happening though is the Twitch changed their like VOD storage limits. So instead of unlimited, now they're gonna like get rid of my VODs after a certain period of time, which sucks, but it's I've been uploading all my old VODs to YouTube. So my stuff is there. In case you were curious about the process behind those older Zelda pieces, they are up. They're visible. And I do, yeah, I mean, if Twitch gets terrible, I will just do all this on YouTube. Not up to me. I don't want to. There's something about Twitch that I really like, which is, I really like that on a regular basis, people from other countries are like, cool art, man, you know? I'm like, that's awesome. It very much feels like a non, it's not toxic and it's not America-centric. Or maybe it is, but it doesn't necessarily feel that way. I feel like there's a lot of reach that I didn't expect to actually be there. Speaking of Twitch, they're apparently gonna start allowing everyone to monetize streams soon, not just affiliates. Oh, that's interesting. Which brush are you using for the blur effect? Is this the hairbrush? This brush that I have, and I use a program called Corel Painter, which is very, it's a very bad program. And this isn't a hairbrush; it's a sort of a gradient brush. This is all just one brush. And depending on how light or hard or what angle I hold you can see like I'm moving the pencil in all sorts of different directions. And it'll orient the gradient in a certain direction. So I can draw a circle and then I can shade it kind of like with the same tool. That makes sense. Other programs like Procreate has brushes that sort of do that, but they kind of don't do it well. And Photoshop is a brush that kind of does it, but it doesn't do it very well. And I'm on the hunt for a replacement. I want to move away from Painter, but I haven't found a good brush replacement on another program. And this kind of brush is kind of how I do my shit, so it's tricky. Okay, this character has a lantern, which is sort of interesting. A lot of my drawing approach these days is sort of like about feel, but it's so much of it is also just based on experience and what I know kind of works. So it's like, yes, I am sort of sketching, but I'm feeling and learning as I'm going anyway. Not afraid to make a mistake. But often I'll sense a mistake just as I'm making it, and I'll just quickly undo it. So it won't necessarily be obvious why I'm drawing things in a certain way. Hop around from one thing that seems to call to me onto the next thing. Stacy says, I'm using IBIS X, but I did hear Clip Studio is better, but there's a subscription, so I haven't tried it yet. I got the Clip Studio while they were having a sale, which was not too long ago, and I've experimented with it, but it wasn't, again, it's like, it didn't leap out to like the solution that I'm looking for. It didn't leap out to me, and then it's like, I only have so much downtime. I don't have the, I don't have forever to just recreate everything I need to from scratch. Maybe if I did, I'd be in a better position with some of this, but I'm not sure I can do much justice to this lantern that he's holding, given the constraints of the composition, but I can try. What are requirements for drawing software? Do you have a list of features? I mean, not really. Almost any drawing software out there is actually better than Painter. It's just Painter does one thing well, which is its brush engine. This program hasn't been updated in 3 years. This is Painter 2023, which came out in 2022. And it's 2025 now. Last I heard, they tried to implement an AI add-on, and nobody bought it. Like, literally nobody. And nobody would want that anyway. Certainly, I don't fucking want it. This is a anti-AI art stream. This is why I started this stream, was because sort of a recognition that adoption of AI art was going to be a problem for professional artists who did things traditionally. And if there was no other way to tell reality from fake than to live stream it, then that was something I wanted to get good at. So that's when I started doing this. But it also made sense for me to get... Hold on, I'm gonna have to rotate this. Whee! Yeah, you can see this is at a weird angle. Let me do a quick save. It's hard to switch programs. Yeah, and that's part. It's like, I'd be like, yeah, you guys got to try this new program called Painter. It's like, no, nobody try this program ever. I don't want to use it anymore. I don't want anybody else to ever use it. Corel is an incompetent company. They just totally botched everything. They basically seeded the entire like this is the Photoshop. Corel used to be the Photoshop alternative, and they just absolutely botched it. And all the artists left and founded Procreate, or sorry, all the developers, and they were like, and Procreate crushed it so well. And I use Procreate too, not in a professional capacity, but I do have it on my iPad and I do use it when I draw. It's a great program. It's not perfect. And it's not doing what I needed to do with a lot of things that I needed to do. That's why it hasn't replaced my workflow. But like, to Brain's question, do your clients talk to you about changing programs? Other artists keep telling me to like pick up Toon Boom Storyboard Pro, you know, or Blender. And I'm like, honestly, for me, I don't want to chase technology. I don't think that's smart. I don't know if I'm wrong about it. Like, I could be wrong about this, but I'm like, I feel like, if anything, I need to go back to, if I was to make a change, it would be like double down on more fundamentals. Be like, I'm putting away the stylus. I'm picking up a pencil. I'm going charcoal. You know, going to use watercolor. I'll draw with a Sharpie. Something like that. You know, stuff that AI isn't going to do, isn't going to be able to touch. Something like that. Okay, this feels like it's a attempt at a faithful recreation of this lantern over here. So that's decent. I'll probably, now that it's drawn and looks really weird, I'll probably knock it back so far so that it's unrecognizable. Unless you're looking for it. But it'll be a fun Easter egg for my buddy whose character this is. I see Brain is posting something in the Discord about the best traditional drawing software. Okay, that looks decent for this guy. How much time we have? Okay. I think there's enough time to Rebel 6 and Art Range 6 are alternatives. Art Rage, yes? Let me do myself a favor and make a note about the brush I'm using. I think I tried out the free demo of Rebel. All these things, like, I'm like, oh, I tried that, it didn't work. It was like 10 years ago I tried it. It was like, I need to, okay. Sorry, I had to make a note for myself about which tool I was using, because like this is a tool that I use for some things and not others. I don't use them for all the Zelda art that I do. I don't use it for a lot of the storyboard work that I do right now. Damn, we're going on half the day is burned and these clients just have me sort of on pause. That's interesting. Okay, let's move to the next character, see how far we get. And this is great. You know, earlier today, I was like, I wonder if I'll be able to do a bonus stream. And I was like, not gonna happen. Clients are gonna just, they're gonna make me work as soon as I start, and then it'll be embarrassing because I'll have to stop as soon as I start. And then I was like, nah, you're probably right. Let's get some chores done. So I did some chores, then I did some lunch, and then I sort of putzed around in a bit, and I was like, damn, it's been an hour, and I could have done a stream by now. I was like, you know what? I'm going for it. So I'm glad I did. because we're an hour in now, and it's been solid. Go a little bit longer. So this is the other character, one of the other characters. There's 6 in total. Different types of characters, and then the dragon is in the middle, sort of a silhouetted dragon. There's a druid, a wizard, a couple of big badass warriors, dragonborn, something or other, and an assassin. Kind of a fun group. They decided to give me a bit of freedom. I did my diligence. I texted my client. I messaged them. I was like, they know I'm not drawing right now for them. So I had double checking, making sure there's not a deadline for me that I didn't know about. I'm here. They're like, oh yeah, we know. Waiting on orders, We'll get right back to you, so. I know. It would be so amazing if, like, the whole week went this way. Like, they're just like, yeah, any second now, we'll get to you. And it's like, nothing ever happened. So that said, I might do work on this off stream. I'll still record it. But because my kid's going to be here and my wife doesn't like it when I stream when they're around. Or at least, like, they don't want to feel like they're cut off from me if I'm doing a stream. So, I'll probably not be able to stream, but I can record it so the process is documented, and we'll maybe eventually make a YouTube vid and run it down. It goes like that, and then up again. There's a lot of interesting geometries on these helmets. But I'm not going to have any more wine until it's nighttime. Because I had half a bottle just this morning. Just because I was bored. I was like, clients are going to call me or what, This is more productive. This giant hulking person is a woman, so it's sort of like that. Who's that big tall warrior chick from Game of Thrones? Anyway, something like that. Brienne of Tarth. Exactly. Thank you. Just similar in theme, not necessarily look, but been binging clips of Game of Thrones recently. Have you seen the whole thing? I stopped at towards the end of season 7. I was like, I like this a lot, but I don't think they know what they're doing. I think this is gonna go bad. I just got that I got that get out now kind of vibe. It was this, I had the same vibe about in season 4 of like Lost. I realized, I was like, these guys don't know what they're doing. Like, they know what they're doing in like making a cool show that people are like addicted to, but I'm like, they don't know how to land this plane. It's like there's no exit strategy. You stopped at season 7. It's the same with me. I still I need to rewatch the Battle of the Bastards, because I was binge watching season 7 while I was working, and I need to go back and watch that, because that's like supposed to be the best episode ever. And I only watched it like out of the corner of my eye while I was working. And that's not the way to watch shows, unfortunately. And I know that. It's like, that's not unknown to me. Anyway, not to be full of schadenfreude or whatever the word is, but felt a little vindicated when all the bad press about season 8 started hitting, and I was like, damn it, I didn't want to be right. When Game of Thrones dropped off for me was when Jon Snow captures exactly one White Walker. Okay, I don't know. I wasn't sure when that happens, but I mean, I was also a big fan of like Mad Men too, but that show was kind of in a similar vein. Like they were not they would introduce like really interesting, like, ooh, that's a twist, wonder where that's gonna lead, and then it just never does. Like you never reach any kind of conclusion about what that was about. And I'm like, okay, so they're just kind of world building / seed planting about interesting things that they can if they need to, they can come back to something that they've sort of set up. But in the meanwhile, like that's not really part of the main story, even though it was like all about the plot of one episode. It's like, okay, we're a show about the cruelty of the world, defined by the fact that no character is safe, had the writers reach into the show, and Deus Ex Machina, that plot point. Yeah, no, there was it was unforgivable given all the potential. Like all they really had to do was just look at Reddit and just be like, well, we got to end it. Which fan theory do we go with? Any of these are better than they could have taken their pick of any kind of plausible landing zones for the series, and instead they just crashed it into the side of a mountain. So this is a tricky thing, is the way I've drawn it, this is problematic. Do you see here, over here, there's like these ridges. My thing is too darn small, but these sort of, the wings on her helmet have these ridges that poke out, and they relate to each other. But here, mine do not, and that's no. These have to relate to each other. Something like this and something like that, right? It can be more of a V shape. I think ultimately I have to move this wing more up in space. Can I do that? Yeah, looks like I can do that. I liked Game of Thrones because it really felt like it was a all the characters are interesting in that, like, they were, for the most part, I mean, this almost sounds like, unfortunately, sounds woke, but it was like the most interesting characters were sort of, they were representative of like traditionally unpowerful, like disenfranchised kind of stereotypes, right? So like you wouldn't necessarily have like a young princess in power. You wouldn't necessarily have like a really young boy in power. You wouldn't necessarily have a dwarf in power. You wouldn't necessarily have you know, someone with a physical disability in power, like missing a hand, for instance. You wouldn't necessarily have someone who had like, there were other examples. Someone crazy in power, you know. But and yet there they were, all vying for the throne. Nonetheless, like, the power was there and they were ambitious enough to go for it, right? Made it very interesting to me. It was wonderfully naturally inclusive. I think that's the point, was like, there was not a sense of like, well, this is forced. Nothing about that show felt forced at all, until the last season, where it was just absolutely shoehorned in everything they needed to get where I guess they decided it needed to go. And again, I didn't see the last season. I just know it by reputation that it was so utterly disappointing for everybody to have watched or to have been involved in, including the actors. And I know people who worked on that show. I know a couple of people who were storyboard artists on it. One of my favorite Mad Men directors was a director on Game of Thrones. Amazing stuff. Good, you know, there were many pockets and many moments of absolute brilliance. The geometry of this helmet is crazy. Maybe I need to... what I'll probably do with this helmet is stop trying to think of it exactly like this. Because this is so... It's like really heavy-handed. I feel like this... Like, if someone actually made this, it would be far more stylized. Like, it would come to a point like that, right? Knowing where it actually just makes sense to take liberties is an important thing. This one looks okay like that. Note to myself for later. I've always been intrigued by the concept of strength through weakness. And so I think there was a theme of that in the show. The helmet does remind you of the armor in Asterix and Obelix. That's funny. That's true. Yeah, I'm familiar with that comic for sure. Great comic, or at least great illustrated comic. I never really thought to evaluate it in like literary terms. It's just the cartooning in that is so amazing. Are you an Asterix fan? I would do a whole stream basically doing Asterix and Obelix studies. Stuff is goated. Looking good. Love those comics. Start a collection. I've yet to complete it. Yeah, I inherited. I mean, my dad is still alive, but he was a collector. Both my parents were like cartoonists, basically. So my dad had those comics. My dad had Asterix and Obelix comics. My mother had the Tintin comics. And like that stuff is like, frankly, it's educational and entertaining. So it's like, there's that joke about like, how often do you think about the Roman Empire? And it's like, I think about the Roman Empire all the time, but it's like through the lens of the cartoonist of the, how do they pronounce their names? Uderzi and Uberto or something like that? Artists. Uderzo. Oh, he died in 2020. Goscinny and Uderzo. That's interesting. They've got new artists, I guess. Oh, fascinating. Hey, Sextra. Sextra, we're only going to go about another 20 minutes. It's a little bonus stream. We're lucky to have it at all. But yeah, between Asterix and Tintin, you kind of got your bases covered for the... I mean, that's like the required reading. You dig any further, and then you're like, whoa, what's this? And you like get into like the heavy metal comics, and you're like, wow, this is fun. Favorite comics are the Calvin and Hobbes. I'm proud to say I have owned and read every single Calvin and Hobbes since I was 6 years old. So I read Calvin when I was 6, and he is 6 in Calvin and Hobbes. It's too good, and Bill, I should do. See, I'll start a list here. I'll just write it here. Asterix. I'm not going to do any Tintin studies. I might go into why later, but there's nothing controversial. I just think he did a lot of tracing because his and it's great designs, great art, but I don't consider it to be that educational for me. But Asterix and then Calvin and Hobbes. You can learn a lot by studying those. Vinland Saga. These are definitely in the zeitgeist these days. Vinland Saga, Berserk. I feel like I've read these comics and I've never even read them because like people post about them all the time. And then that Junji Ito, like I'm not sure that I know, but I'm pretty sure I know exactly what you're talking about. It's that weird body horror guy, right? This stuff looks amazing. But have you guys ever read like Masamune Shiro? Like this is the GOAT. We'll do studies that one day of this guy. Look at this stuff. Oh, come on. That's not what I clicked on. Like this art. Look at this cool pose, you know? Rad stuff. I can't make sense of his stories. Like, they're just sort of nonsense to me, but they, I love the rendering. It's like, if you find an art style that resonates with you, you'll just forgive whatever happens in it, you know? It's like, what? Okay. Whatever you say. I guess great art is redeeming, you know? Another one that's amazing is Gokura Kugai, Bleach, One Punch Man, Berserk. I've been interested in looking at Chainsaw Man and the Attack on Titan too. I need to check this stuff out. My dad has a Crunchyroll subscription or something. He has some sort of anime service subscription that he gave me the password to. I have no time to actually watch anything. Or it's like, it's like, if I could watch something, I probably could have been streaming at that moment too. And it's sort of like, it sort of just makes sense to just do this instead. I think we've talked about this too, but the first comic that I'm aware of, like, really being obsessed with was Lum back in the day. This was we had like an English translation. This one, I had this. I still have this somewhere. Lum, I had my sexual awakening with, not literally, but like, you know, it was like 6-year-old, 7-year-old me. I'd never read anything but Calvin and Hobbes, and then I see Lum, and I'm like, whoa, what's this? This has my attention. Has my full attention. Weird tastes. All right, we all know what that's coded for. I am it's sort of like the gym. It's like anybody can put aside their past and redeem themselves in the gym and in the artist's studio, right? I don't know about literally, but yeah, there's a weird, crazy shield here. It's done, Sam.
Yes, Mr. Frodo. It's over now.
A hard time separating art from the artist once it's out that they've done heinous things. I think sometimes that can be, I mean, obviously we can point, I think there's certain modern day examples, certainly. It can be, I mean, I don't know. Sometimes it's true, right? But I also think that, like, I don't know, if you can make a big enough impression, I'm not going to argue about specifics, like specific comic book artists that you are definitely probably referring to, and I'd agree with you, I'm sure. But like, just to call out, like, I don't know, hate to say, but like even like biblical examples like King David, or I'm not religious, but like, you know, did objectively very bad things. Yeah, but yet still, you know, you sort of get okay with it. Or famous Roman. It's like history can be like with enough time, you sort of set, I don't know. It's like, people make excuses for it. Maybe it's like that. Caravaggio, I think, is like my go-to sort of like, pretty sure that guy killed people, just for the sake of education. I'm not here to moralize terrible things people do. I think we could all agree what is bad. Let's see here. Caravaggio. Incredibly influential chiaroscuro painter. You know, this guy was goated. I would not want to be on his bad side or even on his good side. Just like known to have killed people, and then that's probably that's just the easiest thing to reach for about. I think it's enough to say that it's extremely controversial in his personal life, even at the time, and then but how it advanced the craft is undeniable as well. So interesting. He mastered light and dark. From what I understand, he didn't even draw underdrawings. He just painted. You know, like, it's pretty amazing. How about for Ruini Kenshin with a pitifully upset? Like, it's definitely like, don't be like, don't be a pedophile. Like, how about that? You know, it's like, is it that hard? By the way, I have young kids. I have like a daughter and like a son. It's very clear to me that I'm against that stuff. I'm not saying that is redeemable. Like, don't be like that. But you know, I don't know. I it's a shame for what. I guess it's a shame that what happens has to like negate. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say other than here. I'll say what's true is it sucks that people will use bad examples of artists doing bad things as an example to paint all of what we do with a broad brush that casts a negative light on our craft. That's not well deserved. We can be, for good or worse, reflections of the best and worst of humanity. And being an artist doesn't mean you're above or below any standard of morality. So we have to watch ourselves, and I think if anything, do something to police ourselves. However hard that might be, and what I try to do here is set an example of what is probably a safe and productive path to take for hopefully general purposes of artists trying to prove themselves. Once you put your art into the world, it stops being entirely your thing and becomes its own entity. I think there's some truth to that. I guess sometimes I see art in the context of the artist. A lot of art takes meaning from the environment they were made in. I think we're like mirrors, you know, we're molded. And then we further mold things, and the Made in Abyss dude likes to torture the kids in his manga. See, that would be extremely disturbing to me as a, you know, I've seen some shit too. Just in terms of like what happened, Stasis, I know you're new to the chat, but my daughter had stage 4 cancer when she was a baby, and I've seen horrible things that we had to do to during treatment to save her life, and horrible things done to other kids who did not fare as well. It's just You know, I'd like to think I have thick skin, but it comes as a result of experience with some of that stuff. I know how resilient kids can be and how fragile. It's tricky. The Made in Abyss dude likes to torture the kids in his manga. I'm not gonna lie, the storytelling, the world building is some of the best I've ever seen. It's crazy, he's weird, but I kind of want more of the world he's made. Interesting. Well, knowing there's kid torture in it makes it sort of a non-starter for me, but, you know, I don't know. Let it be what it is. I've read some edgy comics. You know, I don't know where you draw the line with stuff, you know. I don't know. People can barely identify... I don't know what to say. All right, we're getting into the dark side of stuff. I don't want to argue the kids being insanely adorable is a design choice to highlight the tragedy of their stories, not quite an enjoyment thing. Interesting. Well, let me put it this way. Don't anybody post any of that shit in the in my Discord, because that won't be appreciated at all. There's no need for that. Yeah, it's tricky stuff. I don't know. It's like I guess there's a reason we do figure drawing, but there's also a reason that we don't use children as models in our figure drawing classes, even if like that could have potential educational content. You know, it's like we must have lines, right? This is not I don't need to see a future where that becomes mainstream and acceptable. That's okay. We got this far without it. I think this is fine. Let's not constantly pushing the envelope is not necessarily the same as progress, I don't think. But let's talk about cute rom-coms. I like I really liked Brain, I don't know if you'll what was it called? Outsourced? No joke. Only because it's funny. But the show Outsourced was funny to me, and it was about an American guy who goes and works in an Indian call center, and the girl in this was super cute. Where's this chick? Where is this? Where can I find this chick? Is that her? No, that's a different girl. Outsourced actress. No, not her. Yeah, you've watched a little bit of it. This one. Rebecca Hazelwood. Yeah. Sorry, but not sorry. Thought this chick was super cute. Oh, people are home. I gotta go. Alright, I'll catch everybody later. End it on a note here. Catch you on the flip side. Adios.